Hey, I'm Naya. Welcome back to the channel. So, today I'm here with James again. He's been featured on the channel before with Swordsoul, but today he decided to join me with an updated version with which he won a remote duel regional qualifier and also an in-person 3v3 in the last couple of days. So, welcome back to the channel.
Hi, I'm glad to be back.
Good to have you back. So, what made you? I guess when we go through the list, you could explain what made you update it. What were your all of the choices behind everything? And yeah, any shout outs you want to give before we start?
Before we start, I'd like to give a shout out to my friend and teammate Clement for playtesting with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to give a shout out to my friends Danny and Sean for playing with me in the 3v3 and
Mm-hmm.
playtesting together.
Great. So, you want to go over the both of the events or anything particular that might have happened?
Uh, I guess in both of the events, I mostly played against meta. And I think my decisions with building the deck and the theory all worked out very well.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, let's go ahead and get started, I guess.
For the Swordsoul monsters, I played three Ecclesia,
Mm-hmm.
three Moe, two Taya, and three Longyan. For most Swordsoul lists, this is pretty standard. Last time I played three Taya, but this time I just played two because the Taya cannot get you started a lot of the times,
Mm-hmm.
and because I'm not playing Vessel this time, which you would see later, I'm only playing two instead of three because there's just less cards that could pair with it to get you started.
Okay.
And these two are very good extenders when you go second, the Equisia and the Longyun.
Mm-hmm.
And it just helps you OTK or have a board state for when your opponent decides to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for the Swordsel lineup. For the Tenyis, I played three Ashuna, two Vishuda, the two Adhara, and this time I played one Shatana.
This is the only
Um,
difference.
yeah, for the Tenyi lineup,
Mm-hmm.
I played the Shatana because I played Heavenly Circle this time,
Okay.
and it's just a level four that you can search to make a synchro play with,
Mm-hmm.
a synchro eight with, which they're the best synchros in your deck,
Mm-hmm.
and even if you don't have a Dragon Circle, you can use the Shatana as a combo piece by summoning it from the deck with Ishuna.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I also the effect in the graveyard can come up
What
if
was the
you
effect?
want to when your non-effect monster is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you could banish Shatana from your hand or grave to summon it, and then you can destroy a monster your opponent controls,
That's nice.
non-targeting.
That's very
So
unexpected, to be honest.
yeah, it is. Yeah, like a lot of the times, like your opponent might forget about the effect, and
Mm-hmm.
then if they attack into a monk, you could punish them, or you
Nice.
could
Okay.
start popping your monks with your Baxias to trigger its effect, or you can crash your
Mm-hmm.
monk into their guide to play around certain cards like a blackout in the mirror match.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so I think going forward, I think I would actually play more Tenyi monsters. I might try playing three Vishuda
Mm-hmm.
and three Adhara because the Tenyis are honestly the best cards in the deck. They're even
Mm-hmm.
better than the Sword Soul cards sometimes. That's it for the Tenyis. And for the last engine card in as a form of a monster, I played Protos
Yep.
in the main deck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, main deck Protos is pretty standard at this point, even though it's not the greatest against the best two decks, Bird Up and Sword Soul. But you still need to play it in the main deck, just
I mean, the format is
as
so
like a
settled in
searchable.
that like you need to know at this point what attribute to call.
Oh yeah, exactly. Uh, this can also just be searched with Dragon Circle if you get interrupted, so you have
Mm-hmm.
something else to make, and it can actually help you when you're breaking boards, just because it could actually like help you destroy monsters and go for
Mm-hmm.
game.
Nice.
So that's it for the monsters, and for the hand traps. slash going second cards. I played 2 Ash Blossom, 2 Effect Veiler, 3 Imperm, and 3 Droplets.
Okay. So what's with the
Um,
ratio?
why the ratio?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Imperm is way better than Veiler because you can draw this as a 6 card, or you could draw it off of Desires
Okay.
to help you break a board. Ash Blossom is honestly very weak against the best 2 decks, unless if you're ashing a Bird Call or an Emergence or an
Mm-hmm.
Ecclesia. But it is better against Rogue, like if you want to ash a Fusion Destiny.
Right. It's very generic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But in the mirror match, if Valor can be very good when you try to stop a Moe, but since a lot of people are playing Dragon Circle,
Mm-hmm.
it's not always going to go through.
Right.
And if your opponent decides to play around it with Chow it's just a dead card.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I think like these cards are very, very versatile and
Mm-hmm.
just overall like decently impactful.
Okay.
I also thought the droplets was a better choice
Mm-hmm.
than something like Chalice, which a lot of Swordsoul players are playing in their main
Yeah.
decks. I think droplets has more applications because a lot of the times you need to negate more than 1 card,
Right.
even though you sometimes you don't want to discard too many. But
Mm-hmm. Do you feel
I
like that hinders
overall
you overall in the sword soul deck in particular, having to discard cards, or
just
do you have free cards?
uh sometimes it can come up, but I feel like a lot of the times you can try to cheat the activation condition by sending a spell that you've already activated.
Uh-huh.
So that could help. But I think overall, like going second, I think it's more important that you do clear up their board state, and then you can drop an impactful card like Ecclesia, Taio, or Moe and try to
Okay.
get started. For the spells, I played 3 Emergence,
Mm-hmm.
1 Summit, 2 Heavenly Dragon Circle, and 3 Desires.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this is the best card in the deck. It's the only true 1 card starter,
Mm-hmm.
and it just gets you to whatever you're missing. Uh,
So the
this
circle, yeah. We need to
this
elaborate on
is
that.
a oh yeah, this is a new inclusion to the deck, which I didn't play the last time I showcased the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I cut the vessels because they just play into a lot of cards, and they don't really do anything for you unless if you have Tenyis in hand.
Mm-hmm.
If you only have Swordsoul monsters in hand and then your Moe gets Veilered or something,
Mm-hmm.
your circle is just, or not your circle, your vessel is just a dead card, and you just cannot do anything with it. But
Right.
a Heavenly Dragon Circle allows you to play around interruption. Like if your Moe gets hit with the Veiler, you can chain to search a Shatana, and
Mm-hmm.
then your token would still be summoned.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times, if you actually do not need to use this to dodge interruption, you could set it to tribute your Chi Shout on your opponent's turn, or a monk, or anything else, and you
Mm-hmm.
can search follow up with it. And the grave effect is actually very, very good. You can banish it to search a Tenyi
Mm-hmm.
while you have a non-effect monster. So it can just help you grab follow up while it's in the grave, which is it can sometimes be a problem with the deck
Right, that's what I
searching
wanted to
follow
say.
up.
Yeah, sword soul struggles sometimes. So that's good to know.
And then desires, well, like this is just very good in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is played at multiple copies, except for I guess the summit and the Protoss, but they
You don't
aren't
really
very
care about
important
that.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, since the deck can sometimes just bleed advantage, the +1 is very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the last card of the deck, I played a copy of Blackout.
You're cool with only
Card is
one?
yeah, because even if you banish this, it's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You can just go for you could just go for a different play or and make different interruptions.
Mm-hmm.
But no, this card is very strong.
Yeah, very true.
So that's it for the main deck. 40 cards.
It's the best number.
And then for the extra deck, I played 2 Chi Shells.
Mm-hmm.
This is the card that I make most of the time. Yeah, even though I make it most of the time, like you never need more than 2.
Okay.
Then 2 Baxias
Mm-hmm.
and a Yazi. These cards put in a lot of work when you go second.
Mm-hmm.
These are honestly the best cards in the extra deck. Shelving. This allows you to play around light monsters, light hand traps
Mm-hmm.
like Nibiru, Veiler, or Gamma,
Mm-hmm.
and against
You
a
can turn
deck
off
like
Zeus.
Drytron. Oh yeah, exactly. Sometimes if you play against a bird up deck and you end up cracking their board with by having a lot of engine or having some going second cards,
Mm-hmm.
you can just end with this, and then it just turns off their Zeus play, which is usually all they have left in the extra deck after that.
Right.
Yeah. And then for the level 10s, I played 1 Barone and 1 copy of Chongying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, these are both very good. They're pretty standard at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever this card gets summoned, it's usually the end of the game.
Yeah, most of the time.
For other level 8s, I played a Dragite and a Draco Berserker.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. The Dragite, some players decide to cut it for something else like Crimson Blade or Omega, but I find myself going into this way too much against a matchup like Eldritch because
Mm-hmm.
it's a very this card just puts in a lot of work, and it's 1 negation per turn against that deck, and you just stop them from being able to snowball.
True. It's very generic. It's just like good to have.
Oh yeah, it is. And then for the Link monsters, I played 3 Monk.
Mm-hmm.
I would play more than 3 if I can. I don't think 2 is enough. This card is just it turns on your entire Tenyi engine.
Mm-hmm.
And for the other Link monsters, I played a Shaman. This is just a nice extender to have,
Mm-hmm.
and usually the extra deck lock, it can be annoying, but it can be worked around.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last card of the extra deck, I played Draco Master.
Okay.
So there's a few reasons why I decided to include this card.
Mm-hmm.
This gives you something threatening to do when you get hit with D barrier.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get hit with the token collector on the first turn, you can try to climb into this with Tenyi monsters to pop it.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Heavenly Dragon Circle, this serves as a way to out Mystic Mine game 1
Mm-hmm.
because you can link your entire board into this,
Mm-hmm.
and then on your opponent's end phase, you can send it away with Dragon Circle.
Mm-hmm.
So both players would have both monsters, and the mine would destroy itself.
Yeah.
And then you can just play with a lot of resources in hand the following
Nice.
turn.
Okay.
So that's it for the extra deck. Here are some tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And for the side deck, I played 3 Cosmic,
Mm-hmm.
1 Reboot, 1 Imperial Order,
Mm-hmm.
2 Judgments, 2 Barriers, 3 Droll and Lockbird, and 3 Nibiru.
Okay. So is that like a particularly calculated ratio as to what you want to side in or out?
Oh, yes. So when I built this side deck, I wanted cards that were both good going first and second because this deck doesn't exactly make the best boards.
Right.
You need to back up your boards that you make with engine cards with a few non-engine cards.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you would get OTK'd by any semi-decent deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have the 3 Cosmics in the Reboot. Instead of other cards like Lightning Storm or Evenly, these can also be played going first. And unlike those cards, these also out
Scythe.
Schism.
Oh, Schism
yeah,
as
Scythe,
well.
yes. Yeah, Schism is a problem as well as
Right.
Scythe. The Cosmic, can be used to outside in the draw phase, which makes it very versatile.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the going first cards, I decided to play, or the hard going first cards were
Mm-hmm.
the Imperial Order because it's just broken. It should
Right.
probably be banned.
Right.
Two Judgments and two D Barriers. The Judgments, they stop you from losing to going first cards, and
Mm-hmm.
the Barriers, they put in a lot of work against Bird Up
Mm-hmm.
and the Mirror Match. If you draw this in the Mirror Match, you can
Yeah.
just do something minimal, like make a Chi Shell, search Blackout, and keep a lot of cards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And this can often just be a turn skip.
Right. For sure.
And then these cards, they're just necessary
Mm-hmm.
against combo decks like Bird Up.
Or Drytron and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Oh yeah, Drytrons as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, you pretty much just need to open uh, any of these, and then you can just stop them from having a very threatening board state that you can just try to clear with your engine cards.
How do you feel about Nibiru against your deck in particular?
Oh yeah, I forgot to explain that Nibiru, it can conflict with the Tenyis
Mm-hmm.
because well, you can't have any effect monsters in on your board to summon the Tenyis, but I sometimes feel that it's a necessary evil because
Okay.
of how impactful this card can be against matchups like Phantom Knights.
That's fair. Yeah.
And if you have a Nibiru and on board, but you have Swordsoul cards in your hand and a few Tenyis, you could just try to play with the Swordsoul cards.
Right, of course.
All right,
One last thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you think? What do you predict will happen to this deck on the ban list? What do you think should be hit, or should it be hit at all?
on the upcoming ban list, um, I can only see them banning Protoss because that's the only unfair card this
Mm-hmm.
deck has. Um, but I don't think this deck really needs too many hits, even in the foreseeable future, just
Mm-hmm.
because most of this deck is relatively fair, aside from Protoss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with you, and I feel like most of the community says those types of things as well. So if you guys feel any particular type of way about Swordsoul and the ban list, about his build in particular, make sure to comment in the comment section. Any other last words about the deck? Will you be playing it moving forward? Do you feel like there's still stuff to explore with it, or do you just enjoy it?
I will most likely still be playing this deck going forward, but I do think it can still be explored just because of how intricate the deck can be.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen builds that play a lot more Tenyis. I've seen some builds that try to go for Halka Fibrax combos.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do not think this deck is completely solved right now, and I do think it can get better in the near future.
All right, cool. Well, congrats again on all of your accomplishments with the deck. And I appreciate you coming to the channel again. Of course, you're always welcome. And yeah, if you guys feel like you got anything out of this deck profile, if you learned anything, or if you just want to congrats James, you can do everything in the comment section. And as I mentioned in the previous video, I have created a Discord server, which is always in the links in the description box. So make sure to check that out as well. And yeah, make sure to give me a like, sub, check out Twitch and the Discord, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.